Welcome to episode 121 of A Master's Degree in Rolling Terribly. I'm your host, Eddie. Joining me this week, a man who probably had the most successful scenario in all of his Gloomhaven history, with, I believe, no nulls and a few crits. So it's probably going to end up as MVP of Scenario 5 or a giant mushroom for reasons. Hail King Mushroom, Gaz. Say hi, Gaz.
Hi, guys. It didn't feel very successful. I feel like I didn't do much, and I just didn't play my cards very well. But I guess not drawing the card that says do nothing makes it a success, right?
What's the biggest help you could have ever been in any scenario, ever? Like, thank you. That's all I can say. You did a really good job.
Because my cards mostly said what they're supposed to. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, look, as your new Mushroom King, happy for you to bow down to me. So,
Well, we're not sure if you're the MVP yet. You could just be Mushroom at the moment. We were trying to work out if you did get it, and I haven't tallied up the comments yet, whether or not you're going to get the MVP crown for tomorrow's playthrough. But if you get the Mushroom, I was like, well, what are you going to do? Wear both? And
Yep.
I'm pretty sure you were like, hell yeah.
yeah, that's exactly it. So, yeah. Although I feel like the committee of just you that votes for the mushroom hat is potentially a little bit biased, but sure, that's fine.
It's not just me. There's a whole council of it's mostly me. But someone's got to do it, otherwise it's going to be corrupt.
It is corrupt because it's just you.
Not for me.
That's exactly how corruption works. Yes. Anyway, but no, it was a fun scenario, and I am keen to talk about it because it was a bit different to what we've seen in to Second Ed so far. I think there's some cool stuff to unpack.
Yeah. This is a fourth wall breaking the wall kind of thing. We've had a pretty full on week, and lining up schedules has been interesting. So we've managed to get this window the day before our playthrough once again, the usual. So except this time, I have very little preparation in terms of notes. So we are firing from the hip, and we're going to have a good time doing it and see what we can come up with.
Don't tell them that. Now they know that they're going to be looking for mistakes. They're going to be like, oh, that doesn't sound planned.
I think the playthrough is any evidence that they don't have to look far, because everyone's eagle-eyed, and I'm very impressed actually with the amount that people can spot. And we're seeing those in the comments of round 3, position A, this happened. And it's like, oh, wow, how'd they pick that up? That's pretty cool.
Like they're almost paying more attention than we are to some of the monster movement, right? And we were there.
Yeah, we're allowed to, though. We're allowed to. And I think this is the thing. Ultimately, if we were bugs on the, let's just use Dwarf as an example, right? He can't do any wrong, but apparently, according to CGO, he can. But if we were on the wall as a bug and we watched their game and we paid super close attention, I guarantee nearly every group out there is going to be making these little tiny mistakes, whether it be moving a creature the wrong hex or failing to get an XP or whatever. And I'm not discouraging people from pointing these things out. We love it. It helps us correct it. The idea is to not make the same mistake twice. But I dare say people aren't going to get through a campaign without making one mistake.
Yeah, totally. And I agree. We talk about this, but please keep pointing out the mistakes and the errors and little things, because you're right. It's about not making them again and just being more aware of some stuff. But at the same point, I feel like there's going to be a celebration when we get through a whole scenario and don't
when no one can say something
like this. Yeah, because that's almost going to be that's the goal at this point, right? Is to refine down. And I think we're doing pretty well considering the tiny mistake, the small amount of mistakes and that were made in this one. But I was thinking about that as well, in that we played an entire campaign of Gloomhaven, right? And we did it differently in bits and pieces. We also did all of Frosthaven and some of Crimson Scales, although that was recorded. Can you, we talked about we got called out for our big mistakes in Frosthaven because we talked about them, example, the brittle snow imps.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just the ones that we brought to attention. Can you imagine how many monster movement, monster targeting, missed triggers that we had through that whole campaign? Then A, we were still learning and figuring out the rules again. But B, even if this last 4 episodes is just an example, there's stuff, right? There's totally stuff. So I imagine this is every group.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely. But I will add to that, we didn't quite coast through it with that, because I think due to Discord and Reddit and, come out with topics about sort of stuff, I was trying to stay as much on the ball as possible when it came to a lot of that. And we have an amDirt, like a private group chat, for organizing stuff or mentioning anything that was related to the thing. And every now and then I'd be pasting stuff either out of the FAQ or anything that I did find to help us, along the way. And we were making sure that, oh, by the way, that thing that we were doing, we're not doing it anymore because you can't. And so it's not like we were just what do you call it? Ignorantly just going through the whole campaign without making any adjustments as we were going, despite people not being able to see it.
Yeah, totally. That's what I mean though. Like we were aware. You're only aware of something once. You can only change something once you become aware of it. That's what I mean. Like we have the luxury of throwing this playthrough out and people telling us within, I don't know, a couple of hours of it going live, all the mistakes we made.
It's almost like the new first, right?
Yeah, it is. But the thing is that most groups would go through and not realize until they saw a post on Reddit, right? And go like, oh, or actually, one of those, hey, this is really tricky. We're finding this part, and people are like, do you know about this rule? And that's when you get that aha moment. But you're right. Until we were actually getting to things that made us question stuff in Frosthaven, we didn't check. And it's like, I'm pretty sure in Gloomhaven when we played, we were doing stun in regards to, we read it as the monster's next turn, meaning if we stunned them at the start of a round before they went, they were stunned for that round and then stunned for the round again after.
Totally.
And like that, we did that for like most of Gloomhaven or something like that until we were reading it. Like, nah, that seems like that's busted, right? And it was.
Gloomhaven's easy. Yeah.
That's why it was so easy. So like, it's little things like that you just don't know because you read the rules and everyone's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like that makes sense, unless you're coming over it again. So yeah, it definitely is an interesting thing. And I love that we're getting pulled up on it. And now, like I said, it's like a little goal to achieve. Can you get through without making mistakes?
There's a level of what's going around as well, though, because some of the comments are correcting something that happened with us, only for us to be like, oh, no, that's how that's played. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. And they've learned something, right?
Yeah.
So it's working in all these different ways, And we've got Dwarf who's monitoring the comments and jumping in and say, actually, no, that's actually incorrect. It's actually this one. And then he's got that quick fire FAQ link just ready to go, Control V. But yeah, it's handy that it's kind of like we're helping others as well through our mistakes. And I think something that I like the idea of, and I don't know if it's happening or not, is that there's a new group out there who maybe don't quite understand just the concept of the Haven thing, about how there's no sort of tanking. It's a different style game that they can actually watch it. And even though we don't really narrate our whole turn and why we're doing what we're doing, they can sort of get a feel for the general flow and the general gist of how the game works. Like we've actually got a mate who hasn't actually played Gloomhaven and actually has been following the playthroughs and being like, oh, I've never played it before, but I'm now, appreciating the playthrough and it's really, really fun. And we'll have a good grasp of how it actually works just through watching us, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. So no, it's good fun. Get involved, everyone.
All right. We do have a bunch of stuff on, so we'll get through our agenda. So on today's episode, we've got the Dirtbag mail, a couple of comments to get through. We're going to be recapping Scenario 5, Forgotten Crypt, but with a twist because of the call-out that went out last week. And we've had some responses, which is awesome. amDirt Diaries. And finally, Kelega's back. It's Kelega quiz time. If you listen to some of the older Frosthaven episodes, and I'm not too sure if Crimson Scales had any, but every now and then Kelega would put together a little fun quiz that would pit Gaz versus me. I think there's actually a couple that we were working together. I can't remember. And we would do the quizzes. There were Frosthaven. There were Game Haven-related quizzes that we would do on the podcast, and it was always a lot of fun, and people were playing at home, and everyone was always getting full scores except for us, which was just real convenient, right? Because everyone's got a little umpire going, yep, that's right, that's a Guinness World Record right there.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun, and the way that they were presented as well, because we were doing some quizzes with each other early on where I would write one and quiz you, and I think when we had some guests on, we might do a quiz, but the way that Kelega was able to present them, it was like both be able to be quizzed. It was kind of like having a quiz master do it for us without needing someone else on. And they've actually put together this online app thing as well that is going to make it so much like easier. So yeah, thank you so much for all the work you've already put in, and they're always really, really cool to do. So yeah, looking forward to that.
100%. And I was going to say, it's Kelega, right? I think we got corrected on that, and we were saying it for so long, and we were guessing it.
We
So I
did.
think it's Kelega from memory. But
Kelega. Yeah, that's
Kelega
right.
sounds really cool.
Yeah, just in the stream of getting things wrong. So
All right, Dirtbag. Rognin. This is what do we call it? Bag slot, utility slot. Hey, appreciate this.
okay. I haven't had a chance to go through the comments yet, so I apologize. Not for I will go back in and respond. Yep.
We can respond here.
Okay.
Hey, appreciate the discussion about the utility slot. Seems like I undervalued some of the items. Got to try them out more. It would be very interesting to hear how items are designed in these games, and I think that was something we mentioned about getting a dev on and talking about, the design of actual items and how they decide how strong an item is going to be in a pool of so many broken and OP ones, knowing that maybe this is a cool idea, but no one's going to pick this.
Yeah, it is. I'd love that just for not to pick apart, but it's also just I love the to learn about the thought process of how someone went in, kind of what goals they want for different like slots or items and things like that. And I know, think of Magic the Gathering. I remember when I was way back into that, one of the things they had was like every color in Magic the Gathering had a personality in a way, or a rule set. So it could do this, like red. Could do direct damage, but it can't heal, right? Or if it does, it needs to pay a cost and all that kind of stuff. So they also had their own kind of identity. And so when designing a card, it's like it needs to fit within that framework. So I'd be interested to know from an item perspective, like what are those things? Like what can a hand slot do, say that a feat slot can't, in regards to giving bonuses and stuff like that, and what are the rules they play around with? Because even just knowing that stuff is interesting when you evaluate things, and kind of I guess why each slot becomes competitive. I suppose it's so that I know that you can't stack the same type of bonuses, but yeah, just knowing that stuff would be cool.
Yeah, and because the rule set seems to be quite baked in, like it's been going for a long time, how much more creative can they get with the items, right? There's a ceiling there. How many times can you have an item that's going to be like, add this status to your next attack? Now we have to decide, is it going to be a one-hander, two-hander, consumable? How much money is it going to cost? All of these things, I imagine it's numbers. But you're going to run out sooner or later, and then they surprise me by bringing out the flip cards, and it's just like, you've now gone ahead and opened up a whole new subset of item possibilities. And it's fascinating to kind of get a look into how much further they can push that.
Yeah, exactly. I think maybe maybe like a couple of months, once we've got further along with the factions, I know there's some items you unlock there. We'll see some different ones that we haven't seen in games before, because I assume there's new items in second edition. Maybe we do a revisit on like the items chat and do like a items so far kind of evaluation, what we like and what we don't, and we can talk about that stuff, because I think that'd be another. I've always really enjoyed those conversations when we've looked at different items and kind of weighed them up. Yeah, the hits and shits for items, yeah, but just also mechanically to see what they're doing, because one of the things that I think is interesting, and I won't go into this now, but how the items are delivered to you or presented to you is as interesting as what they actually do. Because again, that completely changes people's play experience and how powerful they are. So yeah, exploring how they've changed that a little bit in second ed would be also really cool.
Mexican Superman said, I'll take credit for the teleport 4 comment, because I mentioned that I'll be taking teleportation pad based on the vote, and Mexican Superman was a big factor in that. Anyway, my favorite intro to Gloomhaven, because we were talking about the trio 3 scenarios of the first 3 scenarios of the different Haven games, was Jaws of the Lion, because the amount of rules and time commitment it gave us. Had we tried learning the original rules, we'd be beyond overwhelmed. Jaws of the Lion allows you to learn the rules pretty much immediately with your gaming group. Then the campaign is short enough it leaves you possibly wanting more, or you realize it's not for you, and you don't have to have a $100 paperweight. I feel you could easily do the first 3 scenarios in Jaws of the Lion, and then the first 3 in second edition. And if you're so inclined, the first 3 in Frosthaven. I do like that progression, and love that Frosthaven immediately felt like you had stakes with the allies, despite only getting morale for it. Really good point. I've got the digital Jaws of the Lion that I played with Phil for a bit, and I don't really remember a lot from it, but this is purely based on reputation. Everyone on Reddit, everyone on Discord, the minute someone talks about the game or wanting to get into it, would it be a good fit for me and my partner? Would it, my game group like this? Nearly everyone saying Jaws of the Lion. You will know from that. And a lot of people are halfway through Jaws of the Lion and they're like, I need all of this. Whereas, a full copy of Frosthaven and they end up buying everything, right? So they've done really well with that. Muffin Tentacle said, I heard that Gaz got so depressed about his flips that he jumped off a 10-story building and he missed the ground. Because yeah.
yeah, that's it.
It got dark until like you clicked.
Yeah, it did. I was just like, oh, okay. But yes, no, that's true. That is my luck.
Demon's Gate. This is from Dwarf. Dwarf knows everything about Demon's Gate. Demon's Gate was the location that we found something of. I mentioned it last week. I can't remember the context. Demon's Gate. Oh, the warrior that had the good luck was originally from there. Is, if I recall, the hub city for Gloomhaven Digital's Guildmaster mode. Then he, because he can't stop at one comment, says, reputation. At some point, you should make a decision to side with someone. That'll come eventually, but you definitely don't need to decide now. I'd definitely pick one eventually, though. And then for the Silent Knife situation, we talked about how Phil was with the Isolate and the other thing. Flanked versus Isolate may be good. It may be worth inventing your own keywords or symbols, or just Sharpie them on, mark up the symbols, etc. And we can say, actually, that was the suggestion that we were thinking of doing, but Phil was like, no. He knew that he was going to correct that himself. He had a way of doing it, and we didn't have an issue at all. So that was good.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, like, now that it's been brought to our attention, it becomes you become hyper focused on it, which is exactly what we want, right? Because that's it. Yeah. So, no, what was his second comment?
It was about the reputation and the factions.
Oh, yeah, we did. We chose merchants. Yay, merchants all the way.
Which then goes back to the item conversation. And you're like, hopefully it's going to unlock some like 15 loot variety of items that, loot 15, loot 1, move loot, move loot, move loot, move loot. It's a burn.
Yeah, look, I think that at the end of the day, again, we probably should have looked into the items that we unlock by getting the faction information, because I think some of them are actually available to us now, but you need certain rep to get it, so that they're not hidden. So we probably should be looking at that and choosing our faction based on that. But in a classic amDirt style, we're like, no, whatever, just go. We don't want to be spoiled for anything. So when we get merchant rep up and then unlock the items in the garbage and be like,
it's a mini unboxing,
man,
right?
We should have gone with we should have gone with the fork and the pull thing or whatever it is. And then everyone's like, you can just look and then decide that way. We're like, oh yeah, well, whatever.
Screw you. We'll just restart the campaign and be like, hey, welcome to episode 1. Finally, Slayer Rico said, I can't wait until Gaz realizes he has a card that makes him ranged. Could be an okay card in a scenario with Retaliate or not. The 2-hex hitter.
Yeah, I know, but we didn't. Wait, but this is on the last playthrough, isn't it? There's nothing with Retaliate.
This was on the third one, I think, with the Frost Demons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. These are replies to last week's pod.
Okay, yes. Okay, cool. No, makes sense. Yep, thank you.
And then I'll read out the comments from last week's playthrough on the playthrough episode.
Yes, that makes a lot more sense, and I'm just confused because it's Sunday.
Hey, that's fine. It's Sunday and we've got to play tomorrow. We're all excited. We're so pumped every single time. All right, let's head off to scenario 05. I didn't do write-ups for the Road and City events, so we're just going to cover them fairly dryly. We had Road Event 15. This had the 3 options, and distance sound of popping, blah, 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 orchid. Oh, this is the farm.
Yeah, the farm on fire.
The farm on fire with flame demons and all that kind of stuff, which was very cool. We got to option A, confront the flame demons. Option B, gather some fruits from the trees and make a quick exit, which is something that you really wanted to do for some reason. I don't know why. What was your thought process there?
No, I chose that over robbing the dead guy's house or fighting the flame demons. Like, I feel like that was the obvious one. Just grab what we can and leave. And you guys were like, no. Like, let's go into the burning building and see if we can find some cool loot.
It didn't say he was dead. We even questioned it.
We questioned it, but then we read it, and it's like he's like
on the revealed side.
No, on the first side. I'm pretty sure if you watch the playthrough, we clarify that he's dead anyway. It doesn't matter whether he's dead or not. If he's alive, it's even worse. You're going into his house while he's like, "Help me! My flame demons are like destroying all my crops," and you're like, "Yeah, okay, get out of the way. Let's go rob your house." Like that
Yeah,
makes
well,
it even worse.
this is why we're democratic, right? This is why we put it to a vote, because then it's never the wrong decision.
It's always the wrong decision. We just had more people vote for the wrong decision than the right one.
Anyway, it was 100% the wrong decision because Phil and I wanted to, raid the house, and we grabbed Gaz and dragged him in. And apparently it was real hot, and we all got burnt a little bit. And we started the next scenario with Wound, but we did get 15 collective gold. And it's funny because when we got the gold, I was sitting there and I was like, oh, well, that goes to me, right? Because you guys loot all of that because of our arrangement. And you're like, okay, so 5 each? And I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, I didn't say anything.
No, it's funny because when I was watching the playthrough and that happened, I was just like, "Oh, yeah, we probably could have split that up differently." But nobody said anything, so I suppose, yeah, I just
didn't want to make it awkward.
I just instantly heard 15 because it rounded to easy 5 each. I was just like, okay, let's just write it down. But yeah, that's a good point. In future, probably should weight the like collective gold more towards you, who's doing less looting.
Okay.
Although, spoilers for the playthrough if we haven't, you are the first person to enhance. You were talking about me being Mr. Moneybags, and you're like, start of the scenario, oh yeah, and by the way, I've enhanced this card. It's like, whoa, all right, settle down.
Because
I'm
I don't
poor
need
and haven't got
items.
any money.
Excuse me, you've got like 6 items already. I'm running around with a rod.
Yeah, well, exactly, but you're not poor.
And my items are for you guys as well. Like Slurp, hello?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just saying you can't walk around saying you're poor and then also whip out an enhancement.
No, I can. You guys keep running off to the temple, and I have to sit outside because I'm too busy counting my pennies.
Yeah, we're trying to progress the Gloomhaven reputation thing while you're just sitting there going to the enhancer, going like, "How can you make my shit better?"
As a snapshot, the road event again, classic. Like they're really, really well written. The fact that this one surprised us with 3 responses, which again, we're so early in our campaign, we don't know how often we're going to see a 3rd response, but it was a nice surprise to be able to read that out. And all of a sudden, because of our voting system with the whole whiteboard thing where we don't reveal what we're going to vote for, we do it in secret. It really spices things up and makes things very enjoyable.
Yeah, it is. And I liked the 3 options here because it wasn't clear. Like, you could meta what they were going to be. Like, maybe you kill the demons, you get some rep or something like that. But then the fruits and the robbing the house, you don't know what the outcome's going to be. So it's not signposted towards, well, do you want loot? Do you want money? Do you want rep? Right? I don't know what the other 2 options were. I think I got to read the one that I chose because you guys didn't, so I do know what that was. But I think it is cool. It is cool. They are definitely mixing it up a bit, and the writing's good. So I agree.
Yeah, and there was an item involved in it as well. So there's going to be because we didn't pick it, we didn't get it. We got money instead, right? Because we, for some reason, missed the item. But I think there will be a fun time where we will revisit things that we may have missed in its own separate segment. And that way we get to, appreciate the other items that are in there. Because that's something we didn't really do in Frosthaven, I don't think, from memory. Go through any of the items that we didn't loot. Although I suppose that's what Hitch and Shits was, right?
Yeah, I suppose that at that point we got to see the things we didn't get. True. We didn't really go back and figure out where we were supposed to get them from, but yeah.
And then before that, because I got my orders wrong, we had a city event actually. So before we actually left, and this was city event 13, which you hear screams from the south. Oh, this is cool. So there was a lurker invasion basically. And people were screaming, and it was at the docks, and there were lurkers everywhere, and they're terrifying, and people were upset and all that. And the options were essentially we can raise arms and fight the lurkers back into the sea, or we could, option B, approach the lurkers cautiously and attempt to communicate with them. And you read this out, so you saw the back of it. I didn't actually do it, and I'm going to do it now. But it doesn't actually signpost the thing that we discovered, which this is a spoiler area. We can discuss this. What was Dwarf saying? Something about ancestry from other games. If you play them in this one, you can trigger just little maybe Easter egg kind of sections or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't look it up, but I think it's if you have an event like this, and you have any of the Frosthaven races or factions, I don't know, whatever they call. So like lurkers, for example, algox, etc. They're in the book. I think it is. It's either in the rule book or somewhere. He's mentioned it is somewhere. There's like a little thing to read out if you encounter them and you have one of those race things. So I don't know if you get anything. I don't know if it's just flavor because again, I haven't gone and looked. But I think that's really cool. I love it.
Very cool. I think that's it's a nice forward way of thinking about, yeah. It encourages people to probably mix and match a little more, other than the cool idea of just going, hey, you know, I'm bored of all the Gloomhaven characters, let's play Frosthaven ones. It gives you a little something else extra, you know, and the fact that second edition's also taken on the traits and kept them the same, it keeps everything nice and unified and easy to mix around.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, it just also means that in future Haven games, they can continue to do stuff like that and bring in other, like if you're playing these characters that have influence. I'd say the only downside with it is that it's super duper duper niche, right? Like, I don't know how many lurker, for example, events there will be in the city event and or the road event, but the chance that you've got like the characters from Frosthaven in this at that particular time and know to read the thing, right? There's just so much stuff to go. So it's like, I love it, but it's like so niche within a niche within a niche within a niche that it's going to actually eventuate. It kind of sucks because I think that stuff is really cool to get out there more. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, and hopefully, I love that it's there. That's a little bit of bonus.
All right, so we'll recap scenario 5, Forgotten Crypt. So this was picked by Pete, who I think we gave a shout out either last week or the week before, and picked this one late at night, and he just said it was a non-kill all. And when I was setting it up the next day, I noticed that we had Hale with us, and I was like, oh, this makes sense. But also it meant that I had to do the voice, and I was everyone was very much enjoying it. I was told to maybe feminize it a little bit. I don't know how I went by doing that, but no one said anything, so I think it's okay. And Hale's here to stay. My only dread, and I think I mentioned it in the playthrough, is that eventually if I put my next class to a vote, it's already locked in, and I don't like that. So hopefully we can not have that happen.
Okay.
This was Lingering Swamp, designer Isaac Childress. I think I read all this during the playthrough, and I don't normally do it. So this is what happens when my notes are there. The scenario is complete when Hale ends her turn adjacent to Alter B. At the end of the round, we read a thing. There was multiple rooms all connected to each other with a door, and according to the rules, Hale will advance towards the objective that was not on the map at the time, so therefore pushing forward, and we had to essentially escort her. And we were fighting things like living spirits, living bones. We had living corpses towards the end, and we had cultists from memory as the monsters in our way. We had a scenario effect of everyone starting with an actual curse in their deck, and with, I think it's the spirits. It's actually the cultists and the spirits. I think they both have ways of putting curses in our deck. We very quickly found ourselves having to deal with that.
Well, I mean, some of us it didn't matter for, so...
Yeah, well, who's counting?
Do you want to talk about the scenario yet, or wait till we get a recap?
We'll do our recaps first, and then we'll jump into our thoughts, because I think you've got some thoughts. I definitely have some thoughts, and I think this is going to be a fun, good discussion. I think this is the scenario that's going to create it. So, how it went. I put out a thing last week to say I'm up for volunteers who would like to contribute, be a bit creative, and submit basically the recaps that I do every week on the scenario. It really does depend on when you watch it, and obviously when I can get the actual playthrough out. But we've had 2 this week. Now, this is great. I'm over the moon that we've actually had people that wanted to contribute to this. I'm happy to do it. And if no one contributes, I'll of course continue to do it. But it just gives a chance to see things from other people's perspectives. Now, in the future, I'm going to basically do it in, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it'll be something in Discord where, like, if you want it for the week, you can let me know, hey, you haven't even played yet, but I want to do the recap for next week's, and I will lock that in. I'll have a little calendar to set up, and that can be yours. And I will basically create a bit of a queue for the different weeks for people so that we get, one solid recap every single week, so that I don't have 5, because there's nothing worse than me sitting here and going, you didn't make the cut, right? And you've put all this work and effort into it. I'd feel terrible, and, I don't want to waste your time. So... we had 2 recaps. Did you want to say anything on that note?
No, I think that's exactly it. It was we massive oversight of a what happens if lots of people submit it, and we don't want people to waste their time. But it's also something that doesn't age well. We can't just read the other one out next week. It doesn't work.
No.
So yeah, I think this is it. If you want to do it, let us know. We'll lock you in, and we'll go from there. And yeah, that it's cool. It's so cool that we've already had two people that are keen to do it because I love this type of stuff. I love hearing other people's perspective that aren't like one of us two, because you've done most of them, I've done one or two. But also it means there's probably a chance that I get roasted a little bit less. And I'm always up for that. So
I mean, I can edit them in, but anyway, on to Vessi. So Vessi has been following us for a long time. Vessi's from Slovenia, so English is not their native language, but they've done their best and they've put something together. I haven't edited it at all, so I'm going to read it, rules as written, to get a feel for it all. And Vessi, this is your recap. Deddy, Phil, Gaz, and Hale entered a forgotten crypt, one that apparently only they remembered existed. During the week, they had heavily equipped themselves with interesting gear, such as a teleportation pad, some metallic ring they found, and a beautiful necklace. While the Tinkerer and Silent Knife were training, shopping, and drinking at the Sleeping Lion, the Mindthief did absolutely nothing in his free time except pray before a great oak tree for days on end, hoping he wouldn't miss an attack in the next expedition and embarrass himself in front of his comrades. We shall see how that paid off. The mission was to escort Hale to the altar, and it started promisingly. The Tinkerer first caught most of the monsters in a net, nearly killing one skeleton in the process. The Mindthief's prayers were quickly answered as his skeleton hit with a crit. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you took over one of them and then he critted. Hale steadily moved forward while our heroes cut down everything in their path. They had clearly caught the monsters on the wrong foot and unprepared. Although skeletons are brainless, Gaz somehow managed to get into their heads. The great oak standing in Gloomhaven was certainly responsible for this. The Tinkerer poured some concoction into the Silent Knife's mouth, and he immediately felt much stronger. Hale pushed through the doorway, shouting at our heroes to hurry up and quickly move forward. Meanwhile, the Mindthief somehow managed to steal some money from a living spirit's pocket. Again, something that pushes the boundaries of reason. The spirits retaliated by cursing all oak trees, great and small, and giving a handful of curses upon our heroes. The Mindthief then grabbed the stamina potion from the Tinkerer's belt and drank almost the entire thing, leaving only a few sips, before continuing to chop down the skeletons and diligently collecting their gold teeth from the pile of bones. I love this. The Silent Knife loudly opened the door as the cultists had heard the commotion from afar and came to check out what was happening in the now not-so-forgotten crypt. Thus, our heroes found themselves sandwiched between the cultists and the living bones. Hale was quickly caught up to and attacked, which resulted in quite a bit of complaining from her, and suddenly she found herself alone in the room, surrounded by enemies, without our heroes. The Mindthief's conversion to a new faith was noticeable, and Phil, despite all the curses, persistently drew the right cards and simply did not miss. The cultists executed their master plan with the help of a safeguard and avoided being stunned while summoning the living bones. Hale, impatient, went straight ahead without thinking where living corpses awaited and began to attack her, but Deddy sacrificed a card to keep her untouched. All the corridors quickly filled up and our heroes were surrounded on all sides. And of course, in the final room, the Tinkerer's eyes started spinning with dollar signs when he spotted a chest, completely forgetting what their mission was. His goal suddenly became to ensure that the chest did not remain in this tomb. However, he soon heard the voice of reason and focused on helping to win the scenario. As it turned out, the teleportation device the Tinkerer had crafted during the week was key to winning the scenario. We must not forget that the Mindthief performed very well. Everyone who tried to curse him failed, and he himself hit with all his attacks, quite a few of which were crits. Thus, we can soon expect him to become a great oak priest. The Silent Knife, meanwhile, used his body to prevent the living corpses from moving onto the teleportation pad and blocking the clear path to the altar. Hale stepped on a strange plate on the floor and teleported to the altar, and the scenario was won. Well done, Vessi. That was so cool. That's
very
it's
good.
cool.
I love that.
Yeah, it's cool because when I put that together, I have to rewatch it and all of that. I haven't rewatched it, so my mind's actually a little bit like not sure, and I got to be like a listener and remember what happened. But cool, through someone else's eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, it's someone else's view of how all the things went and what they pick out, because obviously we're biased because we remember the things we did mostly and how things went about. So yeah, I think it's a really cool way of hearing it. Thanks so much for putting that together.
Thank you so much. We have the Mexican Superman, who's also put a recap in. Mexican Superman, I believe, is from the United States and has been someone in our Discord, but someone that doesn't really talk much in there, talks a lot via comments on a lot of the other stuff, a lot of the videos that come through, and a big supporter of us. Always love reading out that name as well. So let's see what the Mexican Superman saw. Round 1. In his bid to draw MVP votes, Deddy heals his allies from the very annoying wound. With the luck of the mushroom cap, Deddy draws a ×2 on his first attack. That's right. Gaz sees his attempt and also draws a ×2, but this time on the enemy modifier deck. You get a ×2 and you get a ×2. Phil does Phil, but he learns that Hale is considered to be an ally, thus having an ally next to him at all times that isn't afraid to take a hit. This will be helpful for Phil. Round 2, the boys cleared up very well, with Phil and his XP attacks top and bottom, and Gaz using advantage to avoid missing. But Deddy decides to be honest during his attack and realizes he needs to reshuffle. Phil offers to cut the deck like last time, but Deddy says, I don't need your help. I just might not crit as much. And then he proceeds to miss. Crankbow counter begins 1. I think that's because I used the bottom of Crankbow, because I think you were like, I wonder how often we'd see that. Regardless, the trio do a great job of cleaning up the room. They enter the next room and pretty standard wait and see round. Next round, Deddy continues his MVP campaign. A vote for Deddy is a vote for the crown, but has to use both his items, armor and ring, and the boys continue their way. That's right. I wanted to split it up. I was going to take the hits for you. Hale says, fucking move. What are you doing? Oi, you booked my turn. Round 6. What are those letters? Spawns? Hale says, I forgot my books. Gaz and Phil share a moment where Deddy says, don't forget you can suck my cockpot. A stamina 1. Do I have to be next to you? Gaz says. They continue to clean this room up. Round 7, Deddy proceeds to say, this was good. She looks good so far. We've had all the enemies pretty good. I feel they haven't got out of control. Wait, Hale, look behind you. We probably shouldn't have left her in the back. Don't worry. Phil goes in to push his MVP votes with another Phil-tality. The cultists run towards Hale while safeguarding each other. I'll safeguard you, you safeguard me. This will be important later. Deddy gets a little upset and shouts as his Phil, after Phil asks the heal bot, can I get a heal soon? That Deddy says, I'm not a card bot, heal bot, slurp bot, not a fleshlight, mate. Hale, on the other hand, says, oi, oi, bitch, don't hit me. Boys decide to prioritize skellies as cultists book it towards Hale. Oi, oi, bitch, don't hit me. Gaz does his ×2 with his great advantage. Annoyingly, there's a skelly in the way, so Hale decides to run up to him. The cultists sneak up behind her. Oops, forgot to drop off Dwarf. Phil is pressured to kill a cultist, but only does attack 5. Somehow, he never draws those curses. Round 10, they decide to summon and stun themselves. Psych! Remember earlier? Moving forward, Deddy says he can't crit me, but proceeds to get crit. Oh, yeah. Because I had the leather armor, and I was like, do I, don't I? The boys decide to big brain move it and work out a teleport pad endgame move. Clutch in the end, each boy decides to hold the aggro from hordes of enemies. Gaz and Rats, 4 skellies, 3 cultists, tank roll. Phil, 2 living corpses, and Deddy, 3 corpses and 1 cultist. No worries. Phil decides his classic top and bottom attacks to take care of Hale. Hire that man up as a bodyguard. Gaz asks, this is the last round, right? Right. Deddy decides to finally use his crankbow. Third time is a charm and proceeds to end his MVP campaign the same way it started with the ×2 on his crankbow. Attack 8 with a lot of curses. Yeah, that's true. Hale takes the teleportation pad to the next, finish next to the altar. They learn that Hale was able to fast travel this whole time, and Hale just ignores this scenario. Final crit count, 8. Miscount, 3. And 3 crankbows. Well done, Mexican Superman. Wow.
Good job.
Yeah. So, thank you so much, both of you, for contributing to that. Love that. I just had a thought that, hey, there's also a world where if you want to submit a audio version of it and with you reading it out as well, I'm happy to play that as well. If you've got voices and you've got all sorts of stuff, hey, let's get creative. Scenario
I think we might have to listen to that though, just in case, right? Just playing, and not that we're live, so we can always fix it later. But yeah, we do need to make sure that we don't get cancelled or something.
Absolutely. Scenario 5. Lay it on me.
I think there was like for an escort scenario with a non-kill all, with what seemed like just a path your way through. I think the thing that jumped out to me was having things spawn behind you just made you make different decisions, right? So even before the thing spawned behind us, that room was looking not rough, but it was like four skeletons or whatever it was, and or maybe three skeletons and a couple of spirits. But anyway, it was looking tough. And then when the cultist spawned behind us, it was kind of like oh wait, maybe we don't kill everything. But what I thought was really well designed with it is that it depends on your state. Because if we had that room, if say our skeleton room was pretty clear, right, we were down to one mob and we can open
Is this
the
the
door.
second room you're talking about? With the big
Yeah,
triangle
yeah, I
obstacle?
think so. Yeah, I think so. No, it would be the third room because they ran
Okay.
around that. Yeah. So the room before the zombies, before the living
Yep.
corpses.
Yep.
So because at that point things were looking a little bit dire, and we had them coming along in the more. What I'm basically saying is having them spawn behind us and move forward, but not be required to kill them, allows us. If we're in a really good spot, we probably fight them and we kill our way through, and we don't do the teleportation thing because we don't need to, right? But because there was this extra pressure, it makes us go, oh, okay, what's our plan now? Like, and I love special rules in scenarios that make you reconsider what your plans were, not tell you need to come up with another plan. So like, hey, you lose in two turns, because that's more of a you need to do something different. Right. But I love the idea of like, based on your state, based on decisions you've made, you're in this position. Now, what are you going to do? So I think overall, that's for me why I think it was kind of cool. And I still think we make it out without the teleportation pad, because I reckon that if we just jammed up, we could have fought our way through that last room, and I don't think it's that much of an issue. It definitely would have been harder because we have to kill everything, and then we got to go into RNG, and it gets a lot closer. But the point being is that we definitely were like, okay, we can chuck the rats, we can chuck dwarf, we can probably hold that room with aggro for a couple of turns, and then maybe jump forward, and that would have been the new plan, rather than how do we sit here and fight everything.
Yeah, my biggest
You know,
concern would have been like she getting ass jammed, like she's getting stuck in all in that corridor with the living corpses and the traps that were blocking it. That would probably be my biggest concern, is that because those things also hit like trucks, so it's kind of like if she got caught out, we have many different ways of mitigating it and stopping it. But yeah, it's very hard for me to get a read. Like it looked challenging. It looked. I'm with you. I think we could have done it, but obviously this, I'm going to use the cheese word here. Like we cheesed it, and that kind of affects. I got two viewpoints on this scenario, being that one of them was like, "Oh, this looks actually really difficult," especially considering we were on scenario level 3, I think, because I bumped up the average and we wanted to keep doing it at +1. So those stats, of all the different monster types, was suddenly getting scary. And yeah, I think that there's the personal. There's my personal view of the scenario from a how did we enjoy it kind of thing, which I think I didn't as much because we cheesed it, but also there's no world where we couldn't, right? It's there. Why would you not do it? As soon as you work out that you can do that, it's really weird to be like, oh, let's not do that. Let's do it the hard way, because it's built into the game. It's not like we cheated. But then there's the actual scenario layout and rules and all that kind of stuff, which I did really, really like. So yeah, I'm in a real torn situation with it.
Yeah, I suppose, if we properly considered it and looked at everything rather than just doing what we did, right? Which wasn't like we rushed it, but we were like, oh, here's the out, here's how we do it. There's a world where we probably aim to get the chest, which is probably the only objective we didn't do. And again, with how the monsters were formed and where they moved to, that probably wouldn't have been that bad to chuck the teleport pad a few hexes back further, so she had an extra 2 turns to get in there, and that gives us time to do it. Like that's the next level. If we're going to use the teleportation pad, how do you use it without just insta ending the scenario? But I get what you're saying, right? Like it's really tricky when you go, oh, here's a way to end it. Oh no, let's not end it. Unless you have reasons. But yeah, I don't know. It's I have a feeling that teleportation pad is going to be like cheese that we are going to have access to always, and we're going to be constantly looking at this now is going to be like a group ability. Like, oh hey, and I'm going to try really, really hard not to do anything like that. No, because I've had these teleport items before, and so when I've when I've been playing, I've always been looking for these things for like, oh, I can teleport 20 hexes, right? Or I can swap these two or swap myself. So it's always been how do I not cheese it, but how do I use this really effectively to do that? And so it's going to be a case of like not trying to do that much because I don't want to just like win every scenario because we skip major challenges because hey, we can just teleport across the map.
It's a weird fine line because it's kind of like if you did it, if the scenario is really difficult and you find a really good play for something like that, right? So it's coming down to the end. We're all about to exhaust. Oh, the play gets made. It feels amazing. Yes, we got out of there. And then you remove that and go, damn, we were going to get absolutely annihilated. Like that was really hard. So it's this weird headspace. And I think I'm just getting into my own head about it and not accepting that that was a really good play. We did that, and thinking it's a weird thing where I'm like looking at the rest of the scenario. I'm like, oh, we probably would have wiped if it wasn't for that one card that we didn't bring, right? And I'm not saying that was the exact scenario, but in the future potentially, it can keep happening.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing. This is one of those ones that borderlines, and we've talked about like what's cheesy and what's not cheesy. And I think this is one of those cards and the scenarios where this borderlines on the fact of like, it definitely was a really good play. Like the fact that you saw it, because I didn't think of it, right? But the fact that you saw that and then put it there, I think was good. It was like really well done. And it definitely took us out of a situation of like, oh, we could lose this and this is going to be tricky to, okay, well, there's our path to victory. So that's not like what I'm going to say now doesn't discount that. But on the other hand, it is like, I don't know if cheesing stuff is just skipping stuff. Like I feel like this is why I'm kind of on the fence whether it is cheesy or not. Because it wasn't like we abused any mechanic. That's what I feel like. When it's cheesy, it's when you're abusing something. Like scenario 14 in Frosthaven, where we just sat the Deathwalker next to the rock to mine it or whatever you got to do to it for like 4 rounds and just went invisible, right? Like that's cheesing it. That's literally like none of the rest of the map makes any difference now because this one character that's going to do the objective is just invisible, and it kind of is required because that scenario is like just horrible. But yeah, that's why I think this is like still needs play, right? You didn't just go, I've got 4 cards, I'm just going to loop them and we just win. So yeah, I don't feel that bad about it, but I can see why you'd be like, ugh. And that's why I'm worried, right? We're going to do escape scenarios. I'm sure there's some in Gloomhaven. Being able to teleport the entire party like 10 hexes, right? Seems very strong.
Yeah. I guess it comes down to, if it's, because people would love that, right, in their own groups and being able to use all that because it means you win the scenario, you get to move on. It's just, I think there's a level of how you win that still is important to me. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, I'm not bringing it anymore or anything like that. It's a big part of the game. It's part of the Tinkerer. It's nice to feel important. It's nice to get a crown every single week, right? Because that's going to be my ticket into being the Perma King. But yeah, hopefully this is where the scenario choices, I think, getting it early right now is probably going to be less impactful than getting it later on because a lot of the early scenarios that we're probably going to run into are going to be a little bit more basic in terms of, it's a kill-all kind of thing. And I'm using Frosthaven as an example where later on things get really, convoluted and you got to move a bunch of allies from one side to the other while 2 factions are fighting each other and things like that, where you kind of go, oh, okay, that's where that's going to feel super cheesy. Whereas now, if we had a kill-all, like teleportation pad's really just going to help with movability in maybe evading a situation. You still have to kill everything, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I mean, before I forget, just make sure that your head doesn't get too big so that crown doesn't fit on it anymore, right? Like
Mate,
all
it's
this self
adjustable.
promotion.
It's
So,
fine.
um, it is adjustable. So, yeah, look, I think one of the things that we probably need to make sure that we're kind of aware of in this whole playthrough is that there are some powerful abilities within the classes. I know that like going from first edition Gloomhaven to Frosthaven, a lot of that power was stripped away from the support, like things like stuns and muddles and mobilizers and all those things. There were some classes that were really powerful because they had so much control of the map. And in Frosthaven, it was kind of neutered a little bit, like a lot drawn back a lot, but also the scenarios were designed in a way that you couldn't just doorway fight your way through, for example, right? That was a common thing you did in first edition. And in Gloomhaven, Frosthaven, they were like, no, surprise, you're in the room, or surprise, everything's going to blow up if you don't keep going. I think one of the things in second ed we've got to kind of be conscious of is, especially if we're going to keep playing on the harder difficulty, we've got to really lean into these tools that do give you an advantage and the big brain plays. So like not being scared of taking a card like this because it's going to make things too easy. It's like, well, no, well then bump up the difficulty in other ways, right? Don't like neuter ourselves because we don't want to take powerful cards or use them. It's like, no, lean into going as hard as we can, right? In regards to what we bring and what we play. And then if it's too easy, well, we've got mechanisms within the game to actually make that harder. So, yeah, I think it is one of the cases where it's a good card. It's going to have some really cool uses. And you're like you said, some scenarios it's going to be useless. Not useless, but it's not going to be game breaking. It's going to be like, oh, this was a cool turn because I got to move us from here to here. But like, not like, oh, I just won the scenario because I had this one card.
Yeah. No, there's some good points there. I want to talk about a monster change that's really kind of surprising us, and that's cultists, right? I don't have all their cards and stats and all that kind of stuff here, but one thing they did very early on was healing, which from memory, look, cultists aren't in Frosthaven, so it was like a memory thing of whether or not what they actually did. I knew that they had this self-destruct, and I knew they summoned living bones, but they have a heal, which the devs have kindly decided to slap a safeguard onto it. So it was our first, I think it was our first instance of seeing safeguard, and that thing is really annoying, like amazingly annoying. But it's also very clever because they also altered the summon with them, and you talked about that in the playthrough. How we thought it might have been just that one cultist special rule from the other scenario we did. I think it was scenario 2. But every time they summon, they stun themselves. But now they can set up for that via safeguard. So all of a sudden that becomes a weird priority removal if you want to deal with them, because not only can they, summon, and one of the fears were that they would spam summon, the stun stops that, but the safeguard also stops that. So it's, this weird new monster now that we're having to learn to deal with. And it wasn't a kill-all, so we didn't. But it just shows that, they could be really scary and get out of hand. And safeguard's this whole thing that now feels bad, because if you get a status effect off, you're only removing the safeguard. It's just interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. I think it's a really interesting change, and I love the fact that they've put something in to mitigate against bad RNG where they can just chain summon. Because I think the summoning, the ooze splitting, in Frosthaven, there's a couple of things that do summoning in one
Wave
particular
throwers.
scenario. We got absolute wave throwers. Yeah, we got wrecked because of that, right? I love this little mitigation mechanic in there that says this can't get extremely bad luck and just ruin your day. But the safeguard thing that they can put on themselves, right, or get, does allow that to get out of control. And so you're right, like when we didn't even really think of it until they did it, but when they were running around the corridor and they safeguarded each other, we're like, oh, lol, 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 that's funny. And then the next turn when they summoned, we're like, oh, they're not stunned now. Okay. And I love now that signpost or kind of gives you an option of like, they've both got, for example, that, if it's critical, they both got safeguard on themselves. Well, okay, we probably should remove that, right? Like, let's go dump a random effect on them, condition on them, so that if they draw their summon, they actually do stun themselves. Because that will be more impactful than we're probably not throwing a stun on them, right? We're probably using an immobilized or something like that. So yeah, I love it. It gives you a little bit of a like, well, something bad could happen here, and I think in Haven, we've talked about this before, is that it's a series of decisions, right? You don't get to round 12 and it's like, oh, RNG screwed us because like this one card came out. It's like, no, 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 no. There was like 50 decisions you made before this point that led to this. Yeah. So it's not just this one. This is just the one that ended up being the, in the end. Those are the ones, right? Like, oh, hey, things are starting to get out of control. Oh, okay, they've safeguarded themselves. Oh, okay, don't worry about that. That's fine. Oh, okay, now they just summoned and stunned themselves, but they didn't. And the next turn they draw summon again. You're like, now we have 4 living bones. Yeah, we could have done something about that, right? Like all we needed to do was put a status effect on them or a condition on them, sorry. And then we only have 2 living bones, not 1. So that again just puts you in the driver's seat. It gives you agency to be like, it's just you run the risk, right? How hard do you want to test your luck? And I think that's a really clever change. A really really
Very clever change. Yeah, the agency thing is very good. Just because you want to lay up, like poison is such a big one, and we've all got different ways of applying poison. To know that you're going to be softening up a living bones with a poison, or getting rid of the safeguard because of potential future, issues. It's a horrible feeling because nothing's going to be poisoned. You're not going to be making it easier to kill the living bones, but you've got to get rid of that safeguard. And look, I'm looking forward to one of us getting it. That would be nice.
Yeah. Well, the thing I'm looking forward to as well is that, it could be a once off only in this instance they've made this change. And please don't tell us because we like being surprised by this. So don't tell us all the monster changes. Okay. This isn't an invitation for that. But I'm really keen on seeing in what other ways they've used a similar philosophy with some of the other monsters, like oozes, for example. I'm really excited when we see oozes to see have they changed them or were they fine with how they were because they do tick their life down, right? So it can get out of control, but then they're also a lot weaker. And it's just some of the other monsters that have these abilities. Have they sequenced them in ways that give you an opportunity to kind of play around with some of that stuff? So yeah, I think again, it's cool to see it like just a refresh, like a kind of facelift on some of these old monsters, but bringing in again more decisions for us to make.
Yep. No, perfect. Well, you should I'll probably consider bringing back the monster spotlight actually every now and then so that we can actually go through some of them. I think with cultists, because they're still relatively fresh, we'll let them have a few rounds so that we have the hands-on experience first, and then we'll do a deeper dive one day in the future and see what actually their deck consists of, which is really cool, which is something we could definitely have access to, guys. It goes in that pile of things that we can see.
Definitely. And I've seen people ask on the Reddit, like, hey, do you look at the monster decks and stuff like that? And people are like, yeah, whatever. You kind of learn the cards as you go. We're really bad at remembering any of the cards other than that one card that they have that screws us. But again, it's like with the wave throwers, we didn't know how many of those they had. And we just assumed that it was like 6 out of 8 cards were that, but they just kept drawing them, right? And so I don't know with this how bad or how unlucky we got, but yeah, it is cool to have the full experience first and then dive into them and kind of unpack maybe why some of the things happen to us rather than doing it now and then like knowing what's coming up and then you're like, oh, remember they've got 2 summons, they draw summon, they
yeah.
know.
So amDirt Diaries, Mindthief, Tinkerer, any new toys, any new tricks, anything that of note that you want to bring up?
Yeah. So I kind of discussed this a bit in the Discord. I think I'm still learning with the Mindthief. The one thing I'm struggling with is XP, and I know why I'm struggling with it because I'm not playing the cards with XP on that, right? So before anyone comes at me, but like a lot of the cards with XP are the augments. So augment cycling is a good way of getting XP, and a couple of the ones because I haven't really been playing around with the elements, which is mostly the ice generation and spending, and I think 2 of those are the ones that also give XP. Because this is, and again, I'm not like, oh, wow, I just realized this stuff. Like, I knew this stuff going in, but I thought I'd still be able to get by with getting a decent amount of XP, but I'm really struggling with that on that side. I think, wow, I'm comparing myself to you, which is basically just gay.
I'm not struggling with XP. No, it's not that hard, guys.
No, it's very easy, right? If everything just has it printed, get 3 XP on it, then it becomes really easy. But no, I think when I started, I wanted to play around with the rats. And I think the thing that's limiting me a bit at the moment is because bringing the rats almost means that I need to bring the augment that impacts them, which I can't remember what it's called now. But it's the one that gives them a free attack when I attack. The problem is that means that's 2 of my 10 cards that I've now taken. Right. And what I think that's causing me to do is like there's other flexibility, like, and the rats are obviously a burn. So that suddenly drops me down to 9. There's other cards that I can play around with that, again, the elements, because I haven't really touched on that at all. And also play around with the conditions a little bit more. So I think I might go into this with a little bit more of a, well, what does this scenario really need based on monster type, and have a play around with how I can do that. Because, during this last scenario with the living spirits, knowing, or say we have frost demons, knowing that they generate ice, okay, could be a really good in to go with like, oh, well, I'm going to take my ice spender cards and I'm just going to play around that a little bit when they're on the board of going later in case they generate it, or also knowing if I generate it, I want to go really early the next turn. So just playing around that a little bit more, because getting free elements is always a really kind of, it feels good. Like they generate it like, hey, cool, thanks for that. And going that way. So yeah, I think that's just a little bit of a tweak that I'm going to make, and just see if, that makes a bit more sense. I mean, the other thing as well, and Susu pointed this out, I think it was him in the Discord, playing with summons without any summon-based items is kind of a little bit rough, because I have no way of jumping in or mitigating anything. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
I was going to say, the other thing would be the level. We're playing on +1, right? And things are going to be hitting even harder. And your pets aren't going to be scaling right now, especially with no items and no other cards to really benefit from them. So yeah, the one thing that this game has done incredibly well, I think more so than previous games, and Frosthaven was doing it, don't get me wrong, it was doing it, was making us really sit there and ooh and ah over which of the 10 cards in your instance or which of the 12 that I have to bring, right? And narrowing that down. I think that every single scenario in preparation going into it and seeing the objective and seeing what creatures we're up against is causing us to rejig what toys and what abilities we're going to be bringing. So massive kudos to scenario design, really, at the end of the day. Tinker had nothing really. Teleportation pad's been good. Sorry, there's a slight delay, so I'm never sure when you're stopping. That's all.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I was going to say that there was the same thing, and I think I called this out after scenario 2 or 3, whatever it was. We had heaps of retaliate. Was like looking at those monsters. I really shouldn't have brought the rats. And I do like that the game continues
that was different,
to throw.
Dude, you painted the mini like you had.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. But that's what I mean. Like I do like how you can kind of take a little bit of that info and then change not just one card, like, oh, it's a escape, so I better bring my move 4, an extra move card. It's more like what will be and won't be. And I think as one of the comments pointed out, like retaliate heavy, I want to go heavy into the get to attack at range, like at the extra X, melee attacks at range 2, basically. So yeah, I do like that they've kind of continued to do that. So I'm looking forward to maybe actually analyzing a little bit more.
You're about to be 3 as well, right?
Hopefully. I think I still need to get like 15 XP, which might take like 3 scenarios.
Ooh,
so.
No, you'll be fine. All right. Do we have time for a Kelega quiz?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Oh no, I have to do this thing. So Kelega set up this website actually, and I'm pretty sure we can give it out. I'll double check that actually. Yeah, I'm pretty sure because it's like you're just creating a room, right? And you get a code, so anyone can join anyone's.
Potentially, but I don't know whether it's hosted on. We don't want to send it out to everyone, and suddenly 1,000 people are like, "Hey, it's like smashing his server."
Yeah, come verse me, come 1v1 me.
Okay, let's wait to check whether we can give it out or not, and then we'll share it.
Voice of reason. All right, I'll give you a room code. It's not going to matter for everyone else because they won't be able to access it anyway. It's 5PVGB.
What? Hey, whoa! You lost me at 5.
5PVGB.
5PVGB.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's very cool. It's a really cool interface. Maybe I won't talk about it so much, but no, I want you guys to know what I'm looking at. So he set up a quiz for us. The very first one that we're going to be doing is called a Mindthief comparison. I don't know what that means. I think it might have something to do with first edition.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
It's going to be multiple choice from my understanding. And let's see. Test your knowledge on the differences between Gloomhaven 1.0 and 2.0 Mindthief. This card is limited to the level 1, this quiz maybe, is limited to level 1/X cards for each. Basically pretend that any non-level 1 cards do not exist. Okay. I'm going to just get so owned in this. All right. Are you seeing what I'm saying? Question 1?
Yeah, come up. Yeah, cool. So do you want to read the questions out?
Absolutely. So, question 1 goes, which card is a level X card for both Gloomhaven 1 and Gloomhaven 2 Mindthief? The options, there's 5 of them, are Feedback Loop, Frigid Apparition, Gnawing Horde, Possession, Withering Claw. So, because it's head-to-head, right, if we sit here and we're both thinking, no one's saying anything. So, I will try and pop something in that sounds like it. Reckon it's that, actually. I will submit. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, look, this is tricky because I can't remember my own cards, let alone I have no idea because I never played the Mindthief in version 1. So I know it seems like I should have an advantage, but I actually really don't. So
Correct answer is Possession.
Okay.
See, you picked Gnawing Horde, and I thought that it's an X card in this, right? I think it's an X card in this, but from memory, I don't think it was an X card in the other thing. But Feedback Loop is also wrong. It was Possession. Well done, everyone who got Possession. We're both on 0 points out of 50, I think. This one's a typing in answer. What is the biggest change in initiative between cards of the same name in Mindthief between Gloomhaven 1.0 and 2.0? This is so advantageous for you. So I wonder if this is going to factor in the closeness.
How?
Like who's going to be closer out of our answers?
Yeah. So if I'm understanding right, the question is, like, out of all of the cards that we can choose from, right, going from version 1 to version 2, which of those cards has the biggest gap, right?
Yeah, from the same name card.
Yeah, that's exactly. So so for one of the name cards, like say Possession had initiative 10 in 1.0 and it has 50, then the answer is going to be 40, and that would be the biggest. This doesn't. I'm not advantaged. I have no idea. I can't remember the initiative of any of my cards at the moment, let alone
that
knowing
sounds like an excuse right now. He's already buttering himself up for the loss, although we're both losing at the moment. Oh, shit. Correct answer is 59. Withering Claw had the biggest change, going from initiative 77 in 1.0 to initiative 18. Gaz, of course you knew that.
Of course I knew.
Oh, so there's an answer range visualization.
Okay. If the question had been, what is the initiative of Withering Claw in 2nd edition, I still wouldn't have gotten that correct. So
That's fair. I would have been closer. I had 13 and Gaz had 30. So at the moment, we are still both on
so we
0.
get points based on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we get points. The scoring legend. Oh, did we not score?
We're well out of the range. No, see, you can see I'm orange and I'm all the way on the left because I picked 13 and you picked pink. You're 30. And we need to be, up near 59. Yeah. All right, next question. Cool. Kelega, you have a habit of making us both look really stupid every time we pull the quiz together. And we love it. We just keep doing it. We'll get one of these right. Yeah. Question 3. How many cards share their name in both Gloomhaven 1 and Gloomhaven 2 Mindthief? Oh, the range is 1 to 15.
Okay. So there's 12 cards. Well, I guess there's 15. Yeah. 13? Oh, yeah, 13 cards, right? So how many share their name?
I probably should have listened to you because I, for some reason, thought there were 15. Damn it. Oh, wow. We're both on either side. So we both got 1 point. So the correct answer is 10. I picked 12 and Gaz picked 8. So we both get 1 point.
There we go.
1 out of 50. Question 4. Does Gloomhaven 1 or 2 Mindthief have more actions that control enemies to make them move and or attack? Select your answer. Gloomhaven 1 has 5 more. Gloomhaven 1 has 4 more. Gloomhaven 2 has 3 more. Gloomhaven 2 has 5 more. You should know this. Oh, Gloomhaven 2 has 3 more. Correct answer. And we both got that right. Yeah, for some reason that felt right.
Yeah.
Like, everything else would have been a little bit crazy. Okay, maybe that was the easy one if we both got it right. Question 5. How many more non-loss actions? So more non-loss actions have non-conditional XP. So for example, not counting XP for element consumption. In Gloomhaven 1, as compared to Gloomhaven 2, the range is 1 to 10. And I'm going to read that again to myself. So how many more non-loss actions have non-conditional XP? I'm assuming like augments and stuff like that, right? Oh no, that's a loss action. No, they're not loss actions. Oh, shut up, Daddy.
No, they're not. Everything that gives you an XP, we're just from doing it without any conditions, right? But it's interesting. It's how many more. Like I could probably tell you how many there are total, but I'm wondering. Yeah,
Hey, this is a 1 to 2 comparison.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. The correct answer is 3. 1.0 has 7 non-loss actions with flat XP. 2.0 only has 4. And we both got the same answer with 4. So we're one off, but we got 3 points each. Hey, we're in sync. We both don't know anything about Mindthief. This is awesome. Question 6, and we're still tied, neck and neck. This could be anyone's game. It's still, like, there's no runaway leader here. How many more non-loss bottom move actions does Gloomhaven 2 Mindthief have compared to Gloomhaven 1? So Gloomhaven 2 Mindthief has more, but how many more of non-loss bottom actions? And the range is 1 to 8.
Okay.
I feel like you should know this one because, like, you can decide how
know
often you move.
I've never seen the Gloomhaven 1 Mindthief. You played it.
Oh, no, you can't do that. You can't come back with I played it. I think I have crashed.
Oh, no, Daddy.
Well, it's not crashed. It's just when I clicked my answer, it shrunk my box, and now I've got a blank box and no next question. And now I'm afraid to press buttons because there's no buttons to press. If I refresh it, that might be bad. What do you see?
I see answer submitted waiting for opponent. So does that mean you forfeit?
Do you have the room key code?
I don't. You have to go back in the recording to find it.
It was something in the PVGB. What was the number? Do you remember the number? 2 PVGB. Join.
I think it was 5, but
5. I'm in. Oh, but I can't do anything.
Are you at
It's
question
just
6?
got players 2 out of 2, Gaz and Daddy. Oh, that's unfortunate.
All right.
So it's a tie.
It's a tie. We got to go through 5 questions. Okay, maybe we can do the other 5 next week.
We could probably do the other 5 next week, and we'll just see whether or not there's something that needs to be ironed out here. But no, that's really cool. The interface is actually really cool. The fact that they've coded in the range, all the information is there. Like, you know, the range of actual answers. There's points deciding how close you are to it. It's actually very cool. I definitely want to do more of this. I'm worried there's a Tinkerer one coming up, which I can easily study up on and won't.
No, I agree. This was really cool. It's a lot of fun, and it's cool knowing these little kind of obsolete, irrelevant stats that like just general interesting comparison stuff. But there's things that again, if you were looking at it, you probably wouldn't know unless you had played both the first edition and second edition. So
yeah, and some of our quizzes in the past actually were monster related. Things like, you know, which monster has the most, the biggest gap between, you know, lowest initiative and highest and all that kind of stuff, which was also very cool. So yeah, go back and listen to some of those. I don't know what episodes they were from. I'm sure Wani does actually. He seems to know where every episode contains. He's almost got a little database of it.
Yeah, he does, because he's like, oh, we did blah, blah, blah scenario. And I go, oh, okay, which one's that? And then you post the YouTube link. And I'm like, okay, thanks. I know I was there, but I can't remember it.
No. We will end it there. A little bit shorter than a regular episode, but we will make up for it next week with more juicy stuff. But I hope you enjoy the scenario recaps and also the scenario discussion. It felt like there was a bit more meat there. Because there was a lot more to talk about, which was really cool. And hopefully that the next week's scenario, which I'll be throwing a poll up. If you're listening to this, it's already happened and we've probably already played. Oh, no, we haven't yet. So that's a fun little timing thing. yeah, we'll hopefully be knee deep in the next scenario playthrough, and I'll try and get that out to you guys in a timely manner. Is there anything you want to add, Gaz?
No, just that I'm loving 2.0 at the moment, second edition at the moment. I'm really, really
really
keen,
good.
really enjoying it, and all aspects. So definitely keen to play more and keep exploring, and yeah, have more chats about it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I was going to do a question with that notice very quick. Is it meeting or exceeding your expectations?
I'd say it's meeting, but I had pretty high expectations for it, so I don't think that's a negative. I was
Yeah. Okay.
expecting a lot. I was expecting a good amount of changes and a refresh, and it's definitely hitting all of those at the moment. So yeah, like currently, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For me, it's exceeding. Yeah, I think it's way better
Oh,
than I thought
okay.
it was going to be. Yeah, yeah. So far, we'll have to wait and see. If I have to keep teleporting Tad and slurping and all that kind of stuff, we'll see. It could be a I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to bring back Daddy's reviews, by the way. I'm going to do a review on the Tinkerer when I finish it and see what I can put together for that. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you for joining us for another episode of A Master's Degree in Rolling Terribly. We don't know what scenario we're doing next, but you guys do. And I can look at the poll results, actually, and also work out what it is and then set it up for these guys. Thank you for joining us. I've been your host, Eddie, and I've been joined again by Gaz.
And remember, if you want to avoid rolling terribly, you just have to pray to the great hope.